It's unlikely that anyone could have anticipated the reception of The Last of Us Part 2, a game that many thought, myself included, would be a universally acclaimed, once-in-a-generation title, ended up becoming a minefield of discourse. Whether it was the juvenile, bad-faith criticisms on its inclusion of diverse characters, or voice actors sounding off at a non-specific tweet about the game's length, the sequel to the PS3 swan song has quickly become one of the most talked-about games of the year for all of the wrong reasons. It felt like most of the praise this game deserved was buried under a mountain of noise, and I didn't see anything that truly encapsulated my experience with the game. I was shocked that more people weren't picking up on what to me was a very clear and expertly written message. At its core, The Last of Us Part 2 is a cautionary tale about how consuming revenge can be, and demands that we confront our egos as players. It's the story of two tragedies. One where revenge is elusive and consuming, like the high of a drug, and another where vengeance is realized, but at the cost of everything. Here's what The Last of Us Part 2 taught me about the cycle of violence.
Joel, please get up! No!
In the game's predecessor, Joel encounters a nameless Firefly doctor who stands in the way of saving Ellie. Without hesitation, Joel takes that doctor's life, sacrificing a cure for humanity in the name of love.
Don't come any closer. I mean it.
No!
Watching Joel grow from a jaded thug to a doting father figure made him one of the most beloved protagonists of the PS3 generation. For all of Joel's faults, it was difficult for even the most dour think piece to argue he was anything less than a tragic hero. In a bold move, The Last of Us Part 2 opens by manipulating the audience's love for Joel. We're forced to watch his brutal execution in front of Ellie, and that indelible bond between adoptive daughter and father is broken. When Abby drives her golf club through Joel's skull,
Get up! No!
we're just as primed for revenge as Ellie is. Yet as Ellie's quest starts to unfold, the player is given hints that the group Ellie is hunting, the Western Liberation Front, might not be the assholes they're initially presented as. Their conversations don't sound like what you'd hear from bloodthirsty thugs.
Ellie. Wolves.
Well, at least he made something other than fucking burritos every third day. I'm sick of it.
You know how many times I got food poisoning, or why do you think I took up fishing? I'm getting hungry.
Yeah? Well, stop talking about food then.
Yeah.
And they seem genuinely distraught when they find the bodies of their comrades.
It's Shannon! She's fucking dead!
It gets progressively harder to watch Ellie, a character who once represented naive innocence, slay survivors begging for their lives.
Please. Please. Take it easy. Just take it easy. Just let me go.
God damn.
Finally, after Ellie kills each of Abby's friends, it's revealed that the person behind the execution of Joel was the daughter of that nameless Firefly doctor that Joel killed to save Ellie. Then, in a brilliant design decision, Naughty Dog forces players to walk in the shoes of the character who just killed their beloved protagonist. This switch is what elevates the meaning of the game from a simple message about how violence is bad to a multifaceted character study and revenge. By allowing players to form a relationship with Abby, it gives more insight into her perspective than a simple flashback sequence ever could. From the moment you begin playing as Abby, her transformation after the night of Joel's death is obvious. Her muscular build suggests she's been preparing for a day of reckoning since she took Joel's life. Her conversations with her friends about that night are awkward. Despite her friends' good intentions, helping Abby kill Joel ended up becoming this unspeakable mistake which changed the group's relationships forever.
We've barely said a word to each other since Jackson. I'm just supposed to pretend that didn't happen?
Of course not. You guys need to talk about it.
She wanted Joel dead as much as the rest of us.
But she's not like the rest of us. She hasn't hurt people like that before.
She kills scars all the time.
Not the way we kill Joel.
Knowing the fates of Abby's friends at the hands of Ellie adds attention to otherwise innocent dialogue. When you watch them perform mundane tasks like eating or talking with other soldiers, you remember how insignificant you consider their lives when you snuff them out in your quest for revenge as Ellie. Particularly troubling is when you're introduced to Alice the dog. While Ellie immediately disposes of her in a simple QuickTime event, she joins as a companion on your first mission as Abby. As soon as you start to form a bond with Alice, you're suddenly reminded of her fate, and guilt immediately takes over. The theme that revenge scars people eventually manifests from the mental to the physical. At the end of her journey, Ellie loses 2 fingers at the hands of Abby, and ironically, loses her one remaining connection to Joel, playing the guitar. Tommy, who never let go of his hatred for Abby, is completely disfigured following the events in Seattle. Even years later, he never let go of what happened, and was prepared to drag others into his hate-fueled spiral.
Reckon it's easy. Forget about her. You sitting all comfy way out here?
Hey,
I'll make her pay.
Tommy.
That's what you said when we got back to Jackson.
Tommy.
What a joke.
Watching these characters' deterioration is just as frustrating as it is captivating. When Ellie saves Abby in their final encounter at the beach, they're both exhausted and scarred. At this point in the story, you're praying that both women somehow see the error of their ways and learn to hold hands and forgive. Abby even offers Ellie an escape on her boat.
They're both this way.
For a brief moment, it's like they see each other as just 2 humans trying to survive. That is, until Ellie is reminded of Joel and burns any kind of bridge that she might have had with Abby.
I can't let you leave. I'm not doing this.
By showing us the immense cost of revenge, The Last of Us Part 2 challenges players to confront the possibility that their character, and themselves by extension, may not be in the right. By the game's conclusion, both Abby and Ellie, the Western Liberation Front and the Scar, are all painted as tragic, sympathetic characters with justified motives for revenge. So if everyone is justified, who are the bad guys in a world so consumed by violence? Oddly enough, this idea might be most cleverly exemplified by Ellie's collectible superhero trading cards. Each card you collect lists that character's allegiance as good, bad, or neutral. In a traditional comic book story, the line between heroes and villains is clearly drawn. This reminder complements the game's theme by demonstrating how simplified and idealized most of our media is. In reality, most bad actions are fueled by some kind of powerful loss or pain. No one is pure evil. But taking this concept one step further is what makes The Last of Us Part 2's story so smart. When we are wronged, it's easy to forget about the significance of the other person on the receiving end of our wrath. This kind of thinking is heightened in video games, where we are rarely challenged to consider the feelings of the virtual people we're killing. It's hard to see the player character as anything other than righteous, because their perspective is all the player sees. This is also the reason I get so frustrated at the take that Joel's death didn't make any sense. Joel, a beloved fan-favorite character, absolutely needed to die. And that reason is to punish us, the players, for killing a nameless NPC. Video games rarely use the participation element of the medium to its full extent, but The Last of Us Part 2 manipulates players' emotions in a genius way. It's emotionally challenging in a way that too few big-budget games are. Players are used to being asked to conquer or to defeat, but instead, The Last of Us Part 2 asked us to forgive.